This is basically related to pathogens. So when we talk about pathogens, how do we define pathogens? Disease causing microorganisms. Okay. Then pathogens are of different type. For example, there are bacteria, there are viruses, there are fungi, and there are protozoans. Okay. And then the protozoans. Okay, when we talk about the bacterial structure is quite simple. It has an outer wall which is made up of peptidoglycan. Then some bacteria have flagella, and this flagella helps in movement. It is prokaryotic cell, means do not have a proper nucleus but have a DNA floating. Then there is extracircular DNA, which is known as plasmid. What is the role of plasmid? It helps in various other uh, functions. Okay. Then it has ribosomes. The ribosomes are not similar to plants and animals, but ribosomes are present for the protein synthesis. Okay. Okay. Then we'll talk about the viruses. Viruses are quite simple. They have only two main parts. One is the protein coat, which is the outer structure, and then there is, if it's a double stranded, it would be DNA. If it's single stranded, it would be RNA. Okay. Then fungal. If we talk about the fungal cells are basically eukaryotic. Let's explain. We'll explain all the classes. They are eukaryotic, but their cell wall is made up of chitin instead of cellulose. Okay, and they have hyphae. The hyphae are like roots which penetrate into some surfaces or the food surfaces from where they get food. And the most important thing, they are saprophytic or saprophytes. They actually get food from the dead material. Okay, and there can be many nuclei in a single cell. It can be multinucleated. Okay, let's start with question number one. Cholera is caused by a type of organism that can be passed from one host to another. So, what is the term that we use to describe a disease causing organism? Pathogens. That is correct. Next one is a type of disease in which disease causing organism is passed on from one host to another. What type of disease that can be passed from one organism to another? Transmissible and it infectious. Exactly. Okay. Then the question is about bacterium. The disease causing organism that cause cholera is bacterium. Then the structure is given and we have to name some of the structures or their functions. Okay, what is the function of ribosomes? Protein synthesis. What are the small ring of DNA that carry genes? It's a ring. Plasmid. Control the passage of substance into and out of the cell? Cell membrane. And what is the function of cell wall? Support. Okay, shape or support. Okay, let's move to the next part. Now, a bacterium is given and the magnification is given. Okay, the length of the bacterium in the photograph is 100 mm. Let's say the image size is 100 millimeter and we have to find the actual size. What would be formula? Good. Image size divided by magnification. Okay, how do we convert millimeter into micrometer? Because the answer is asked in micrometers. Multiply by 1000. So, what would be your answer? Okay. So these three are cut with these three, this with this. Then we are left with 2. We are left with 2. Okay, use your knowledge of a type of specialized human cell to suggest the name of cell Z. What can be this Z? Okay, Z is the flagellum, and what's the function? Flagellum and movement, correct. Okay, the binomial name of the bacterium is Vibrio cholerae. It's a type, like, what is the genus name and what is the species name? So let's talk about the, okay, Vibrio, and the species would be cholerae. Okay, so if we talk about Vibrio, one advantage of binomial system of naming organism. Okay, it's a scientific name, okay, which is known all over. Exactly. Correct. Despite the language barrier, we can use scientific name to recognize any organism. Okay. Explain how the presence of bacteria of this type in human cause diarrhea. One of the symptoms is cholera. Now you have to give the whole process of how cholera is caused. How is cholera caused? Okay. First thing, the bacteria, what does it do? A toxin. And that toxin in return have an effect on chloride ions. There would be production of chloride ions, and these ions are increased in the intestine or into the intestinal lumen. Chloride ions into intestinal lumen. Okay, due to this chloride ion, the water also move from cells into the intestine because there would be more salt outside. So water will move towards the area where there is more salt or where there is lesser water potential. Movement of water toward the lesser water potential area, which is the intestinal lumen, and as a result, there is more water in the intestine. Less water is absorbed, which in turn can cause watery feces. Okay, and this is diarrhea. Clear? And we can also mention here the movement of water would be known as osmosis. So we have to give all the scientific words. Okay. Okay. Now question number two is again about some animal. Okay, reindeer live in areas of the Arctic where there are no trees. Okay, so there are mostly grasses, ferns, and mosses. Reindeers are eaten by wolves and brown bears. Now whole chain is given. You have to draw a chain. So let's say we have grass, we have ferns, and we have mosses. All these three are fed on by the reindeer. Okay. Which in turn is eaten by wolves and the bear. Okay. So this is how you show the flow of energy by giving the correct arrows. The energy flow from grass to reindeer, reindeer to bear. Okay. In other months of the year, reindeer eat an alternative source of food. The alternative food contains a carbohydrate called as lignin. Reindeers are the only animals that are able to digest lignin. What list chemical elements that made up the molecule of lignin? It's a carbohydrate. So what elements are present? Yes, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Correct. And oxygen. Now the next part is, let me copy. Just give me a minute. State one advantage of reindeer of eating food that contain lignin. Now it's a carbohydrate. What's the benefit of eating the carbohydrate? Energy. It's a source of energy. Okay. Use your knowledge of how cells function is controlled to suggest why other animals are not able to digest lignin. Okay. Okay. So 1 point would be given. No enzyme. Correct. No enzyme because there is no gene. There is no gene for the synthesis of this protein, of this enzyme protein, which can digest lignin. Okay, so you have to mention gene and you have to mention enzyme.